Inspiring story, because at the age of 73, Rachel Clarke is proud to call herself the West Country's first openly transgender mayor, although it hasn't been an easy road to self-acceptance.
But now Rachel's using her lived experience to make a difference to the lives of LGBTQ people in Devon's rural communities and beyond. Yulani Seaman reports.
This lady is Rachel.
Hello.
And I'm Rachel. So that's
two Rachels together.
Two good friends together.
Wherever Mayor Rachel Clarke goes in Bideford, she brings wit and a contagious positive energy.
Do you want to wear that latte?
And as she gave us our very own tour of the town, it was clear to see the impact she has on its people. Rachel's the only openly transgender mayor to have ever served in the South West. It's come with its challenges, but Rachel makes it her mission to ensure people feel seen.
Quite surprising when you open yourself up, the amount of people you meet that have got family members that are also transgender. I go into schools, I go into colleges. I've been in a nursing home recently because that's another area that is not spoken about. But people of my age, I mean, I'm 73, so perhaps in a few years' time, I might end up in a nursing home. And they need to know how I want to be treated. When I started my journey as a transgender woman in 2021, Emily started to look after me. And she's developed my hair. And we've developed a great friendship, haven't we?
We have.
And this place is really open and friendly to the transgender community.
This year, the mayor's chosen charity is youth-led Transilience. It was founded in North Devon and provides support for young people struggling or coming to terms with their identity, and guidance for families too.
I've got 12 students that I work with, and they're all either transgender boys or girls, or this new thing which I'm still getting my head around, non-binary. But they're lovely, they're absolutely brilliant, and they like talking to me for some unknown reason. And perhaps they can think, well, you know, one day I could be the mayor. I always only speak about love. I love everybody. I have no hatred in my heart for anybody. There is no point. It's time wasting. I don't do that. I love Bideford, and I love talking to the residents of Bideford, and I love talking to the shopkeepers of Bideford as their mayor, not as a transgender woman, just as their mayor.
Well, over on ITVX, Rachel has opened up a lot more about her own journey, from feeling like she was always meant to be a girl during her childhood in the 1950s, to understanding much more about her identity later in life, and all the ups and downs in between as well. Rachel Clarke, Bideford's First Lady, is the only openly transgender mayor in the South West. Born as a boy, Rachel always knew that she was in the wrong body, but only started living her full truth 3 years ago at the age of 70. She sat down with our reporter Yulani Seaman in the town's mayoral chamber to tell the tale of her journey, which started in 1951.
So, Rachel, there are artefacts in the mayor's parlour dating back hundreds of years, aren't there?
There is. And this is our main silver room here. And we've also got pictures of all of the previous mayors. And this was donated back in 1928. I think that's right, yes. By a Sir Basil Polo, the Baronet MP. And he donated it to the town.
Being a mayor bears the weight of hundreds of years of history. But for Rachel Clarke, who's only openly been a woman for 3 years, her role changes history.
How does it feel to be the First Lady of Bideford?
It's strange. It's strange. You know, when you think that I spent 70 years as a man, so that takes you back to 1951. So before people knew about transgender, when homosexual men were still being put in prison, about 1954, I knew I was a girl, which seems strange and people might think, nah, that's not right. But it was right. 1958, Cindy Doll came out. I had one. I made it close. I dressed it up. You know, my nan, bless her heart, taught me to cook, sew, knit, dressmake. My brother, carpenter, you know, metal worker, standard skills.
With a strong sense of self, Rachel always wanted to go into the Merchant Navy and train as a cook. It was there her journey to self-expression took a step forward.
The education I got in the Merchant Navy was totally different than what was going on the shore side. Gay men lived together. 1967, gay men lived together on the boats. The queens, as we called them, they would dress up to go to the Pig and Whistle, and they'd put wigs on me, comb them out. We'd make fake boobs out of water balloons, and they'd all get dressed up. And I was so envious of these people. But, you know, this is late 60s, you know, and it was acceptable on the boats, but it wasn't acceptable ashore.
When Rachel returned from working at sea, she fell in love with a woman. They had 4 children, but knowing her identity, of which she was open about with her wife, came with some challenges along the way.
We got married on the 1st of March 1972, and we were married for 49 years and 16 days. And I can remember my dad saying it will never last. Well, it lasted 49 years and 16 days. But he died in 1980. In 1983, a trigger went off in my brain. And that's when I found out I had gender dysphoria. And I sat and spoke to my wife, and we went to the Beaumont Clinic in London, and they told us what was going on, and we could have called our marriage a day, but we loved each other, so we didn't. I told my mum, and she said, I've always known you were a girl, and your name should have been Jacqueline Patricia. Well, thank God it wasn't. Throughout the next, I suppose, 30 years, Rachel used to arrive in our marriage. So, like a lot of really nice ladies, sometimes their husband goes astray and has an affair with another lady and destroys the marriage. My wife's problem was that the other lady in our marriage was her husband. When I discovered that I got gender dysphoria, I wasn't coping very well. So I've got to be honest about that. And I decided one morning, right, I'm going to come and live down here and sort my head out. So I left home and left my wife with 3 children, which wasn't a nice thing to do, but it had to be done. And I stayed with my mum and explained what was going on in my head. And then my wife rang me and said, look, I just need to tell you, I am pregnant with our youngest daughter. And I had to make a decision. And the decision I made was that my wife and family at that time were more important to me than becoming me.
Rachel put her family before herself for many years. Her wife passed away from a heart attack in 2021. It was then she knew she could live her truth.
If she hadn't have died, we wouldn't be having this conversation. This is. I would still be a closet transsexual. You know, it just wouldn't happen, because Rachel used to live in the boot of my car. This was 2021, and as I said, and on the 1st of July, I turned 70 in the April, and on the 1st of July, I became me, Rachel Anne Clarke, and I had to write to 9 parishes because I was their district councillor, and I had to write a long email to Torridge District Council explaining that as of the 1st of July they would have to call me Rachel, and I got a very nice letter back, and all of the staff were fabulous, absolutely fabulous. No, I can't fault Torridge District Council one bit for their care of me.
Did you feel after your hormone treatment and surgeries, did you feel like an overwhelming sense of
I've made it. I've arrived. Oh yes. And I'm so lucky that I've got a group of girlfriends. They've got husbands as well, but we won't talk about them. But I've got a group of girlfriends, and they are my support network. So if I'm having a really bad day and gender dysphoria is chewing my brains out, I can ring them up and I say, look, I'm in trouble, and they'll come round with a cake and we'll have a cup of tea.
And Rachel hopes that by living authentically as mayor, others learn that it's okay to do the same.
That's it. I think the label, in some respects, transgender, no longer applies to me because I am a woman now. So, you know, but I understand that the community, we all have these labels. We live in 2024, you know. This country's grown up, you know. Gay men can marry gay men legally. Gay women can marry gay women legally. The fight's been won. You know, the idiots out there, the trolls or whatever you want to call them, that want to be disgusting, you know, they're the ones that have the problem. Now, the fact that I've become the mayor is far outstretched anything I could have ever imagined. You know, I wouldn't have believed that, to put it plainly, a transgender woman would ever become the mayor of a town. The choice I made in 2021, I was a widow, free from anything else. The choice I made then was selfish. It was for me. It was a selfish choice. I wanted desperately to become Rachel. And if I live one day or live for 30 years as Rachel, I would have achieved my goal.